Let's talk about incident response, which is the organized, calm, and very professional way of handling a cyber IO so it doesn't turn into a full-blown digital disaster. Incident response is a structured process used to effectively address and mitigate security incidents by preparing in advance, detecting problems, analyzing what happened, containing the damage, removing the threat, restoring systems, and learning how to do better next time, kind of like a fire drill for hackers. Preparation is all about getting ready before an incident ever happens by creating response plans, defining roles, setting communication procedures, training the team, and identifying critical assets. On the exam, this appears when a scenario mentions policies, contact lists, training, or response playbooks, and the correct phase is preparation, because you can't fight a cyber fire if you don't know where the extinguisher is. Detection is the phase where monitoring tools, alerts, logs, and thresholds are used to identify suspicious activity and recognize that an incident may be occurring. A typical CompTIA question might describe unusual traffic, malware alerts, or abnormal system behavior being noticed, and the correct concept is detection, because this is when the organization realizes something is wrong and raises the alarm. Analysis is where responders determine what happened, how serious it is, what systems are affected, and how the attack unfolded by examining logs, timelines, and evidence. On the exam, when a scenario talks about classifying severity, determining scope, or building a timeline of events, the correct phase is analysis, because this is where the situation is understood before action is taken. Containment focuses on stopping the incident from spreading and causing more damage by isolating systems, disabling compromised accounts, blocking network paths, and applying temporary fixes. In a scenario where infected machines are quarantined or access is restricted to prevent lateral movement, the correct concept is containment, because the goal is to control the blast radius. Eradication is the step where the root cause is removed by eliminating malware, closing vulnerabilities, patching systems, and ensuring all traces of the attacker are gone. On the exam, when systems are cleaned, backdoors removed, and weaknesses fixed, the correct phase is eradication, because the threat itself is being kicked out for good. Recovery is the process of restoring systems and services to normal operation using clean backups, verifying integrity, and carefully bringing everything back online while watching for reinfection. A CompTIA-style scenario might describe restoring data and resuming business operations, and the correct phase is recovery, because the organization is returning to normal safely. Lessons learned is the phase where the incident is reviewed, root causes are identified, documentation is updated, and security controls and procedures are improved to prevent the same problem from happening again. On the exam, when post-incident reports, policy updates, and training improvements are mentioned, the correct concept is lessons learned. Training and testing include tabletop exercises and simulations that allow teams to practice responding to incidents in realistic scenarios and evaluate readiness, communication, and tool effectiveness. When a scenario describes role-playing an attack or running a mock breach, the correct concept is tabletop exercise or simulation as part of incident response readiness. Root cause analysis is the systematic process of identifying the fundamental reasons an incident occurred by examining immediate and underlying causes, mapping cause and effect relationships, and implementing corrective actions. On the exam, when the goal is to prevent recurrence by fixing the real problem instead of just the symptoms, the correct concept is root cause analysis. Threat hunting is a proactive activity where analysts use human expertise and hypotheses to search for hidden or advanced threats that automated tools may miss. In a scenario where security staff actively search for indicators of compromise rather than waiting for alerts, the correct concept is threat hunting. Digital forensics is the process of collecting, analyzing, and preserving electronic evidence to understand what happened and support investigations or legal actions. Legal hold ensures relevant data is preserved, chain of custody tracks who handled evidence and when, acquisition is the forensically sound collection of data, preservation protects evidence from alteration, reporting documents findings, and e-discovery identifies and produces electronic evidence for legal use. On the exam, when evidence must be preserved and analyzed for court or investigation, the correct concepts are digital forensics and its supporting processes. The key takeaway is that incident response is a structured, repeatable process that prepares for attacks, detects them quickly, contains and removes the threat, restores operations, and strengthens defenses for the future. And if this helped you understand today's topic, consider liking and subscribing for more cybersecurity lessons like this.